Hello everyone in the Secret Sleep Baby and Toddler Sleep Help Group. My name is Courtney. I'm your host and a pediatric sleep consultant, and I'm here to help you get a great night of sleep so you can enjoy the time you have with your little ones. I was doing a sleep strategy call day to day, and there's one thing that keeps coming up that I really want to make sure that I address. I think I may have addressed it before, but I think it's just such a good one, okay? So it's the topic of why, how to break the habit of co-sleeping. And why does my baby wake up so much when they're in their own bed, okay? So let's talk about this, okay? Lots of times, here's a scenario, and let me know if this is you, okay? This is something that comes up a lot, okay? Lots of families I talk to say, I have a baby, and the baby sleeps in bed with me. I'm not a huge fan of it. Babies just roll around. They're so, this and that. There's concerns there. I want my baby to sleep in their own bed, but anytime I put them in their own bed to sleep, they wake up so much in the night, okay? So here's the thing. This is one thing that I explain to families is that the issue is actually not about where they are falling asleep. So I feel like most families come to me and they say, I have a family that won't sleep in their bed and it's really tough, okay? Really what's going on here is there's a baby who has challenges with sleep, okay? They have frequent night wake-ups. And the mom has brought baby into bed because there's frequent night wake-ups, and it's a lot easier to deal with frequent night wake-ups when your baby is like a lot closer with you. The baby might wake up, a bit less because at least, there's some snuggles that can kind of help the baby to connect some sleep cycles. But the issue here, this is what I'm trying to pinpoint, the culprit, okay? If we can pinpoint the culprit, we can start to make changes to sleep because we know why the baby is waking up so much or why the baby won't sleep in their own bed. So to me, the culprit here is actually not to do with where they are sleeping. That's just geography. To me, the baby has frequent night waking, and there's a culprit for the frequent night waking. And because they're waking up so much in the night, it's easier to have the baby in mom or dad's bed. So when I have families say, how do I get the baby out of my bed? My answer is always this, okay? What our number 2 goal is to get the baby out of your bed. What the number 1 goal is actually to address the challenges that are causing the baby to wake up frequently in the night and the reason why the baby is now in your bed and that why you are a co-sleeping family when you didn't originally plan to be, okay? This is where we go into why, okay? Why is my baby waking up frequently in the night? This is usually where I explain sleep cycles, okay? So as all humans, we sleep and we wake up in the night, okay? We have deep sleep and we have light sleep. As adults, we do a lot of deep sleep and a little bit of light sleep. And our babies and toddlers, they do a lot of light sleep and not as much deep sleep, okay? That's why you'll notice co-sleeping with little ones is not always the most fun activity ever because they're always like moving around and flailing around because they're in light sleep so frequently, okay? Now, if there's something that they really feel like they need in order to get to sleep, means that there's something that they really feel like they need in order to get back to sleep as well. So if they, spend time in their sleep, okay, we rock them to sleep, we place them in their bed, and they go into their deep sleep, okay, they wake up from their deep sleep, they're in the light sleep, and then they fully wake up, it shows that there is something that they really feel that they need in order to get back to sleep, okay? This is why, most people think my baby's hungry, okay? For some babies, it is hunger, right? Like, of course, like a 2-month-old baby is going to wake up after a couple hours, 2-3 hours, in order to feed because they're hungry. That's totally true. Most of the families I work with, it's not really the case. It's not really hunger. One way you can tell it's not hunger, obviously we're under the assumption we're talking about like healthy babies that are gaining weight and that sort of thing, okay? If your baby has slept in the past, like a decent stretch, let's say a 4-hour stretch when they were 4 months old or something like that, 3-4 months old, and now suddenly they're waking up every hour or every 2 hours, I can most certainly tell you that they are not just suddenly like so hungry that they need to eat every hour. This is where I'm like, this is called a sleep association. There is something that they feel like they need in order to fall asleep. So when they're in their light point in their sleep, they're like, oh no, I was sucking the last time I was awake and I'm not sucking anymore. Whether it's the breast, the soother, the bottle, whatever, sucking is one culprit, okay? And so they're like, oh no, I don't have this thing. I can't go back to sleep on my own. So they wake up and they cry. We call it signaling. It's kind of like, oh, hey, mom, I need help getting back to sleep now. Okay? So that's really what this is about. So there is a culprit to the sleep challenge. Okay? There is a reason why your baby is waking up. There's a reason why your baby has a hard time sleeping in their own bed. It can be slightly better usually when we co-sleep because we're giving them more help to sleep, right? Maybe your little one's sleep association is rocking, something like that. And when they're co-sleeping, in their light point in their sleep, they're not being rocked, but they're like, okay, at least I'm warm and snuggles, and, it kind of helps them, a little bit because they have that physical contact, so it helps them fall back asleep a little bit. But usually in this scenario, they're still waking up in the night while they're co-sleeping. So this is where I'm like, hey families, like, we got to work on the habits that are interfering with their sleep cycles. I usually recommend doing this first before actually breaking the habit of co-sleeping. This is where I'm like, if you're a co-sleeping family and the goal is to not be a co-sleeping family, I actually recommend, because I know some sleep consultants are like, just place that baby in bed, yeah, they'll scream, it's no big deal, right? And then as a gentle sleep consultant, I'm like, let's pinpoint the culprit. Let's make really great steps towards having just really great sleep while co-sleeping. And then when you have an awesome sleeper, baby that's sleeping through the night, it's then really easy to make that transition from the habit of co-sleeping to independent sleep, because now when you place your baby in their crib, they're not going to wake up every hour, 2 or 3 or whatever, We're not going to have to work on, putting them back to bed constantly in the night, right? It'll be such an easy transition once they already sleep really well. Okay? I hope this was helpful information for you. If you have a little one that is sleeping in your bed and you're not loving it, post below, co-sleeping family, not loving it, okay? Let me hear from you, okay? If you have a little one that is co-sleeping because they would not sleep in their bed or they wake up so much in the night, post below that too, right? Be like, yeah, I think you're right. The reason why we are co-sleeping is because there was already some sort of a challenge in place. The co-sleeping isn't really the thing that caused the problem. There was a problem and we co-slept because of this. Okay. And if you want to help, you want help pinpointing what that thing is, write down what it looks like when your little one wakes up in the night. My little one needs to, have a bottle to, go back to sleep or whatever it is. Write what it is that your little one requires in the night, okay? We're going to pinpoint the culprits so then you know how you can work on the sleep habits to help your little one sleep through the night, okay? Post those below and I will comment on them. All right. Bye, everyone.